Welcome back to another week of Operation Evil. This is episode 38, My Survival Story, the amazing Holly K. Dunn. I'm your host, Nyoka.
I'm Rachel.
This episode is extremely special to us. It is about Holly K. Dunn. If you're not aware of who she is, she's amazing, as in the title, and she is the sole survivor of the railroad killer,
Angel Resendez. If you remember, we had covered him in our very first episode. If you would like to get more information about him, just go back to our first episode. We're going to warn you, the quality of the audio is not that great, but we have a bonus episode planned in the future for that.
Yes,
Nyoka,
we do.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we were thinking, because it was our first episode, and it was a really special story for Rachel. It was one that's been on her mind for like decades, honestly.
Yeah.
And our audio, it was okay, but it just wasn't. We've upgraded since then. So we are thinking about maybe covering it again, not like crazy in depth, but just enough to, I don't know, refresh. And we were thinking about doing that through just our Patreon, our bonus episode for the month. So for those that are part of that Patreon community, we will have that out this month, and you can give it a listen there. If you are not part of our Patreon, we have the link in our show notes, and you can be part of that for as little as $3 a month. We put out a bonus episode every week. I can't express enough how amazing this interview was. Rachel, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, it was very emotional. I mean, I always, of course, Nyoka is the host. I love
you
for
are
Nyoka
too.
to always, yes, but I love for Nyoka to take the lead. So if I annoy anyone that I don't say enough, it's because I'm just, it might sound silly, but I'm almost starstruck because like I seriously have held Holly to my heart like forever. And just the idea of just meeting her was just very overwhelming. And I'm very proud of Nyoka, and I'm so thankful that you helped to make this happen. Thank you so much.
And actually, thanks to Megan for encouraging us to even
Megan.
like do it in the first place. So thank you for that. I mean, this has just been, it's just a proud moment for our podcast. So we thank you guys for like hanging in there with us and giving this episode a listen. I'm not going to put out any additional warnings. We didn't like get in graphic details with her. This was just such a cool, friendly, to the point conversation. And I'm going to go ahead and insert our interview right here. So thank you so much for your time. I know it's precious. I know you're busy. I know you do a lot of things. And actually, I've read in your book, I didn't realize this until I read how. So you were featured on Glamour and People magazines, UK's online newspaper, The Guardian, America's Most Wanted, CBS News, 48 Hours, Live to Tell, The Montel Williams Show, and then A&E's I Survived, and plus a lot more.
Yeah, there's been some other programs added since then that I haven't updated it. It's not completely updated, but yeah, there's been a lot.
You are a master at public speaking, I imagine.
You know, what's funny is that, I mean, truly, I'm not. I mean, when I speak, I talk just like I am to you today. It is not, I would not consider it professional in any way. But, and you know, if you'd asked me in college if I was going to ever do public speaking, it was my least favorite class. Like, I do not think I ever would have chosen it. But I think it's because I'm so passionate about what I'm talking about that it becomes just like a conversation with people. And I think that that's actually a really effective way to do public speaking. And when you can when you can just kind of talk to people and like be real with them and let them ask questions and, you know, do that, not really follow a PowerPoint or like a script. I think that resonates with people. And so I think that I've become a better speaker because I can resonate with people and I can connect with them through what I'm talking about.
Yeah, every time I had to do public speaking in college, I thought I was going to get sick. And it was in front of people I knew. It was horrible.
Me too.
It was a horrible class. So I did want to touch base on Chris. I think how you guys met was the cutest ever. We're in Northern Kentucky. I don't know if you know that. So we're very familiar.
I've been there a lot. I've been to Northern Kentucky a lot.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah, we used to come to the Gap outlet like all the
Oh,
I mean, I have a lot of
Oh
friends.
my
I have a
gosh.
lot of friends from Northern Kentucky, but we used to go to the Gap outlet like at least once a month. So I
Yes.
mean, I was there all the time.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
We're familiar with like how you mentioned B-dubs in your book. Like, oh yeah, we know what B-dubs is. And those who don't, it's a Buffalo Wild Wings place. But I loved that I knew, what you were talking about. But I love how you guys met there and connected. He like approached you about toenail polish, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They were a group of guys. So, I mean, and of course we were a group of girls. So, I mean, you're of course at a bar going to be like, hi, like talk to each other.
Right.
And, I hadn't really gotten I wasn't sitting by him. I hadn't gotten the opportunity to really talk to him. And so it was sweet almost that he came up to me and was like, we have the same toenail polish. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? And so he showed me, and he had his toes painted silver too. And that's really what sparked the conversation and got us like talking to each other. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's so unique. I mean, how many people can say that? And then I found out it was because he had 2 female roommates and he just let them polish his nails.
Yeah, they painted his nails. They painted his toenails for him.
That's funny. And they kind of compared themselves to like Three's Company, and they had like the theme song as their answering machine.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I remember that show.
So was he like a hippie? Like
he was. I mean, he was very much an outdoorsman, just loved everything to do with the outdoors. And I would say he was like a old soul. I mean, he was, a hippie, but like a modern hippie almost,
Yeah.
I mean, he appreciated a lot of the modern things, but, loved the outdoors and loved, bike riding and camping and just being outside. And that, I mean, I think people associate that with like a hippie, but it was more like just you love to be outside and be
love
outdoors.
Nature. Yes. Yeah. I love that. You guys are exactly like the kind of people that we would have been friends with for sure if we were in the same area.
Yeah.
You wanted to know more about Chris, didn't you, Rachel? What was it that you were wanting to know?
Yeah, like is there just anything else that you would like to share about him? Like I would like to know all that I can about him.
So, when I talk about Chris, I mean, he truly was like nobody else I'd have ever met in my life. And he was just like I said, he was an old soul. He seemed to enjoy life more than other people and just, I mean, enjoyed every single day. Like when it was raining, he loved to go outside and like splash in the puddles. I mean, like it didn't matter what the weather was. It didn't matter what was going on. He loved to enjoy each day. And, I can't say that at that time in my life when I'm 20 years old that I really was like that. I wasn't there yet. And so he kind of taught me that. I mean, he taught me that you could enjoy small things and that they were really cool and that, it was okay to be yourself. I think that's really what he taught me most of all was that, I didn't have to be anybody else. I just had to be myself. And so, yeah, he was a very cool guy. He truly, I mean, just never met a stranger. He gave great big bear hugs. He was always smiling. And I mean, he was an amazing guy.
He sounds like
I love that. And like, I was looking at some of the anniversary pictures that you posted on Facebook and I love the bear hug thing. I love that.
Yeah, when you look at his picture, you can kind of imagine that he was 6'5" and a bit.
Oh, wow.
He was a tall guy. And so he just would tower down on you and hug. And oftentimes, I mean, I'm 5'7", so it's not like I'm super short or anything, but still he was, almost a foot taller
That's
than
tall.
me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nyoka, he would be definitely towering over us.
Yeah, we're super short people. Now, his last name's pronounced Meyer, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I was just, the A confused me a little bit. I wanted to make sure I got that right. Um, with, there was something else about him I was going to mention. In your book, you said, I don't know, like you met him and you knew he was going to be like this special part of your life, but you just didn't know how yet. And
Right.
I just love, I feel like, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like our souls connect with other people for a reason. And we kind of feel that. We kind of tap into that. And maybe that's like kind of what was going on there.
Yeah, because I mean, and I say, you know, even if Chris had survived, like if he still was around today, I don't know if we'd still be together. You know, there's no telling.
Right.
But I know that I would still want to be his friend. Like, I mean, he was that kind of guy that you want to stay his friend.
Absolutely.
And that's what I know for sure, that I still would have been his friend.
Yeah. I love that so much. Now, we covered another case. Actually, Rachel did. It was several weeks ago about Ellie Good, and she was this high school student that she had broken up with her boyfriend, and he attacked her, and he murdered her, actually. And her friends are advocating for her. I know you're all about advocating for other victims and that sort of thing. And we wanted to ask you your point on self-defense, because her friends are trying to get it to where the high school has self-defense class in it, like in the UK. And I kind of thought that was a neat idea. I don't know if it ever passed, but I thought it was like
I don't think it's a bad idea. You know, so there people, I've got opinions about, like, you know, if you want to carry a gun, if you want to, what weapons you want to have, and what you want to be on you all the time.
Right.
You know, I was always kind of afraid of guns. I didn't want to really, I didn't want to carry one.
Mm-hmm.
But the self-defense thing, that's something that I could get behind. You know, like I had an opportunity at one point to fight my attacker. Right. And so, but I did not know at that time anything to do to hurt him. I'd never been taught any kind of self-defense. Right. So, and not that maybe it would have made things worse. I don't know, but, you know, at least to have the knowledge of self-defense. Now, the one thing about self-defense is that you can't take it just once. I mean, you should probably take self-defense once a year, because most likely you're not going to use it, which I hope nobody ever has to use it. Mm-hmm. But it's muscle memory. So you gotta update yourself probably once a year at least, right, to remember what to do in a situation. So I think it's a great idea, but I think that especially us as women, we need to like do it even more. Like we need more opportunities to learn self-defense. And I still take self-defense classes. I try to once a year, so that I can, you know, hopefully if I needed to ever use it again, I would know what to do.
I know exactly what you're saying. It is a muscle memory. And if you don't use it, you might forget some steps.
Yeah. It's kind of like CPR training.
Yeah. It's, Rachel, I recommend it. I've been trying to get her to do it with me. I have done it a few times, and it is, I don't know, like when you're done with the class, you just feel
like empowered.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
Well, and I think, Holly, you're about the same age we are. I'm 42. Bayoka's 40. I don't remember being taught in high school about those kind of things, like self-defense.
No, I don't. At all. I mean, I don't remember anything about self-defense.
It was just run your mile.
Yeah. Do your sit-ups.
Yeah. Definitely. So do you want to take us through your experience, and maybe it would help others that have been through something as well?
Sure. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. I'll talk about it, but I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because people can really read it almost.
They really can. And
they want to.
Yes.
But I will talk about it a little bit. So, you know, I think probably the best thing about the beginning of my story is that Chris had just gotten back into town, and I got to see him like a couple times. When he first came into town, he came and saw me and brought me like this plastic ring, which wasn't very like expensive, but it made me know that he was thinking about me. And you know, that was really exciting. And so it was the excitement of being with him again, because he had been out of town. And so the night that this occurred, Chris was in a fraternity, and he had just gotten finished with recruitment for guys, and it was a fraternity party, and I had really never been to a fraternity party other than through my sorority, never to like with a guy, like not my friends aren't with me, right? Just me and a guy.
Yeah.
So I go to this party with him, but I knew his roommates, but I didn't know anybody else there. And it was kind of it was just kind of boring. I mean, I met some people, but like, I wanted to be with Chris. And so I didn't really want to be there. So when we went to go take a walk, it sounded like a great idea because I hadn't seen him and I really wanted alone time with him. So we went to take a walk, and then two of his fraternity brothers joined us on the walk. And I'm like, seriously, like, can we not get alone in this place? Like, what's happening? But so his fraternity brothers come with us, and we go to walk to the railroad tracks. And we were there for a while. We were waiting for a train to come by to have them smash some coins that we put on the track. And I mean, I bet we waited there, maybe not too long, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And no trains came by, and we were like, this is more boring than being at this party. Like, this is not fun either. But Chris and I had started talking, and we were sitting beside the tracks. And so the fraternity brothers were kind of like, oh, they're, like they want to be alone. Like, we're going to leave them alone. So they like, we're going back to the party. See ya. We're going to leave you here.
They finally got the idea.
Yeah. And so Chris and I stayed by the tracks and we talked. And I don't even know how long we sat there and talked before we got up to go back to the party. And when we got up to leave, I mean, we hadn't taken maybe 5 steps, and someone comes out from behind an electrical box. And it seemed so surreal. I mean, and at first I didn't think anything of it. I mean, I thought, this is a homeless person asking us for money, and it's, this happens. I really wasn't thinking about the fact that it's midnight, it's dark outside. Like, this isn't necessarily the time that people do this, but it just seemed kind of normal to me that somebody be asking for money. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm going, I know we don't have any money. Like, we're poor college kids. And he doesn't believe us, and like wants to go through Chris's backpack. Now, like I said, Chris was 6'5". He's very tall. This guy wasn't very tall. He was like more my height. So he had Chris get down on his knees, and he went through Chris's backpack, which I assumed he's going through his backpack for like with credit cards, money. Because I think I actually did have like $5 in his backpack, in Chris's backpack, which I also had pepper spray in Chris's backpack. So if that tells you anything about pepper spray, unless you have it on you all the time, not necessarily good to carry pepper spray.
Right.
But so pepper spray was in Chris's backpack too. But so he goes through Chris's backpack and doesn't find anything he wants. And I'm offering him, I said, I'll take him to the ATM and get him money. I was offering him my car. I was like, what do you want? And I didn't realize it at the time, but he had a weapon on Chris, some sort of sharp object like a knife or an ice pick. And he had it on Chris the whole time. And Chris knew it was there. So that's why Chris got down on his knees. That's why Chris let him go through his backpack, because he had this weapon on him the whole time. I didn't see it because it was dark, obvious, and I just wasn't paying attention, and it wasn't until he basically ties up Chris's hands behind his back with his backpack, and then he comes over to me, and I see that he has this weapon, and it kind of changes the whole ball game, because Chris and I weren't getting a chance to talk to each other. We were giving each other like eyes, but we weren't getting a chance to talk to each other. And so he comes over to me and shows me this weapon. And so it just it's more like I wanted to throw my purse at this guy and run away, kind of deal. Like then I'm more and more trying to figure out, what do you want? Like you obviously have a weapon. You really want something. Like, what do you want? And it was just so strange that this person wanted something and was saying no to everything I was offering him. He takes off my belt and ties my hand behind my back with my belt. And he ends up like pulling us to the side into the grass beside the tracks. Chris and I mean, he ended up tying a shirt to gag me and gag Chris, and to tie up our legs. And I actually stuck my tongue out when he gagged us so that the gag wouldn't work. I don't know why I thought to do that. But so I stuck my tongue out and I'm still able to talk. So anytime this guy would like go up to the tracks or like kind of walk away a little bit, I was trying to talk to Chris. And these were only like 20, 30 second increments of time. It wasn't long, but I'm just trying to be like, Chris, like, I'm pulling his mask, I'm pulling his gag off. And I'm like saying, like, can you get your feet untied? Like, what are your hands? I got my hands untied. I was like, can you get your hands untied? I'm like trying to figure out how we're going to get away. Right. And of course, Chris is like, well, if you can get your feet untied, run away. Like Chris is telling me, run away. And of course I'm thinking, I'm not going to leave you here. Like, you're crazy. Like that's not going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't get my feet untied because I just didn't have the time. I mean, I didn't have time to like sit there. I was even holding my belt in my hands behind my back so that it looked like I was still tied up because I didn't want this guy to know that I had untied myself. And so there was no time to like get down there and try to undo my feet. He ended up hitting Chris, which felt very surreal. It was hard for my brain to even let me understand what was happening. It was a 52-pound rock that he picked up and hit Chris with it. He only hit him one time. And then he came over to me and I realized that he was going to rape me. And that's when I tried to fight him. I kicked him. I screamed. I was doing anything I could to like get him off of me. And he stabbed me in my neck with that weapon that he had. And he said, look how easily I could kill you. And so I just stopped. And then he raped me. I remember I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel that in my neck. I wasn't feeling anything. I was floating above my body. I didn't feel anything. And I even asked him to put my pants back on after he raped me because I thought if I'm found here dead, I don't want to be found naked. I was digging my fingernails into the ground I thought if he takes me away from here, I want them to know that I had been here. I was doing things that now people are like, did you have hostage training? Like, how did you know to do these things? And I don't have the answer to that. I'm a 20-year-old girl at the time. I don't know how I knew to do these things, but, I thought I had convinced I was talking to him the whole time. I thought I had convinced him not to hurt me, but he ended up hitting me, and not with the rock that he hit Chris with some kind of board. They never found what he hit me with, but he hit me 5 or 6 times in my face and 5 or 6 times in the back of my head. And I think I put my hand up to block it because my hand was swollen. And I think he knocked me out, and I think he knocked me out cold, and that he thought he had killed me. And I don't even know how long I laid there unconscious before I gained consciousness. I don't remember. I kind of always felt like I was conscious, if that makes any sense. Like I never felt like I was unconscious, but I think I probably was. But to me, I was conscious because I was still thinking and still like aware of everything around me, but couldn't move. It's hard to explain, but
Yeah.
So I remember him leaving, like walking away. And I'm just thinking like, thanks for leaving me here. Like I stared at your face. I stared at all your tattoos while you were raping me. I'm going to know exactly who you are because I'm going to get you one day. Like I know your face. And I don't remember getting up to get help. I walked about 200 yards to go get help at a house that was nearby. I walked barefoot because my shoes had fallen off. And I walked about 200 yards to a house and walked into this person's house. I didn't ring the doorbell. I didn't knock on the door. I just walked right into their house, and scared the guy half to death, I'm sure. I was covered in blood. They called 911 for me. And I think from what I've heard, there were about 15 police cars and like 4 ambulances that came to this house. And it was a tiny house, like students lived there. And this was a big deal. And I just remember being in the ambulance and I kept saying to everybody, like, my friend's still out there. My friend's still out there. Check my friend's still out there. Like, don't forget my friend's still out there. I didn't want them to think that this had just happened to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I just remember being taken to the hospital in an ambulance, which I asked the ambulance driver to stop and get me a cheeseburger on the way to the hospital because I was hungry. I was talking, my jaw was broken. So like I was talking, but my teeth didn't line up. My mouth was like over here. And I'm sure I obviously didn't look good. But I've always used humor as a defense mechanism. I mean, it is how I get through stuff and how I make myself even comfortable in situations. So I know that's why I asked for a cheeseburger on the way to the hospital, because I just felt the tension of those ambulance drivers. Like, I mean, the person in the back of the ambulance with me, I felt the tension. I'm like, I gotta break the ice here. Like, somebody, like, let's get real here,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was rushed to the hospital. Chris was pronounced dead at the scene. And I only spent 5 days in the hospital. As soon as they wired my mouth shut to fix my jaw, my parents rushed me home. But I did go back to school 1 month after the attack.
Wow.
I needed to get back into school and something normal. Something that I need to take back control of my life. Because when the ultimate control is taken away from you, the number one thing you need to do is like take control of what you can. And so, I could take control. I could finish school, and I could, they needed me at school. And so, I went back to school, and I think my parents probably would have wanted to lock me in my room forever. Now being a parent myself, I kind of understand that a little more. I'm sure it was really hard for them to let me go. But they did. And I went back to school, and it took me 5 years, but I did graduate and did everything I planned to do. It just took a little longer, and had a lot of healing to do, after that. The healing has been a journey. For sure. And it's been an unconventional approach to healing, I think, that I've done. I don't really have a way to describe my healing. But it was very unconventional. It wasn't necessarily what somebody might think, a survivor of a violent crime and a sexual assault and, almost a murder. Like, I saw a murder happen, like, what that person might have to go through to get better and live a healthy life. It was very different for me. And that's kind of, I think, really what's kind of driven me all along in my advocacy and wanting to help other people. It wasn't necessarily that I jumped into this and thought, I'm going to help other people. Like, that's my plan and I'm going to do it. The first thing I ever did was I was asked to give a talk. And, it was on faith. I was asked to give a talk. What did we just get there?
Oh,
this meeting
we've been upgraded.
We've been upgraded. We don't have to have a new. That's okay. I was like, what did we get? We won something.
Yeah, I didn't even know that how much time had passed. I'm like,
it flies. I know. Let's see. Was I talking about my healing? Where was I? I don't know.
Your first
you were talking about
my first talk I ever did. Yes. So my first talk I ever did was on faith, and I cried through the entire thing. I was questioning my faith at the time, and it was just the strangest thing to be told to give a talk on faith when you're questioning your faith. It was pretty amazing. And so, but I did it, and it was so empowering and so amazing. Right. And then I get asked again to give a talk at the University of Kentucky to 700 women going through recruitment. And, you're going to talk to them about safety. And I'm like, you're crazy. Like, I don't know anything about safety. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, what can I tell them? And I just told them my story. And I realized that by telling them my story, that they could have awareness, and that awareness could then help them to be safer, because they might make different decisions in their life that wouldn't put them in that situation that's going to happen. Right. And so, and when I spoke, I had people come up to me and say, like, thank you for being a voice. Like, I can talk about what happened to me for the first time ever in my life, or I can talk about, this thing that happened, and thank you for being just all these people coming up to me, and I'm just going, holy moly, like, how amazing is this? Like I am talking, which by the way, all the times that I'm able to talk about this it's lost its power over me, right? Like I now have control over this story. This is my story and I have control over it, right? And so it has lost its power. And so that's what talking about it has done. And that's what, for me, it was to go around and be able to speak, but only because that kind of fell into my lap. I mean, I probably would have started talking about it somehow, even if that hadn't happened, right? Because I started to realize that the more times I told the story, the more times I talked about it, it lost its power. And not only that, so I'm healing and I'm getting better, but other people were healing and getting better, or maybe just talking about what had happened to them for the first time ever. It was like a mutual understanding of you're helping me and I can help you. And it was like, how empowering and amazing is this? You know, like there's nothing better. Like it was such a good feeling. And that I think is what has driven me to even be able to talk today. It's still like that. I mean, I used to tell people when I spoke, I'd say, you guys are all part of my healing journey now, and you can't get out of it. You're in it. You're stuck. You've now heard my story. So you are in it and you can't get out of it. Sorry.
And I love that.
Yeah. It truly is like, it's so empowering and I think getting your story, anybody that has a traumatic event in their life, getting the story outside of them. And it may not be talking to a bunch of people. It might be singing a song or doing some art, right? I'm not a creative person, but somebody that is may like make a piece of art that is about what happened to them, right? Or they may write a poem or write in a journal. Just to get that story outside of you somehow helps that to become your story and for you it to lose the power over you that it might have. And it may be just talking to one other person. It doesn't have to be talking to a bunch of people in front of an audience. It's just getting the story outside of you. I think it makes a big difference.
I love that so much. You are such an inspiration. I can't even describe. And I think Rachel's going to cry again.
I know, because like for you to say like you're part of my story now, like it's full circle for me, because I think I was, I don't know, maybe 19 when I saw your story, 19, 20. And like seriously, ever since then, it has just stuck with me. And so now it's just full circle.
Well, you know, and probably it stuck with you a lot because I was 20 when this happened. So, you know, I was that age when you heard about it. I was probably about the same age that you were when it happened.
Well, which I'm married to him now, but my boyfriend at the time lived close to railroad tracks, and I would be like, be careful. And then I don't know. I just want to hug you.
Well, I'll take a virtual hug.
Right? I love that. Oh my gosh.
I'm just so glad that like Nayoka and I were talking about that. We're like, you know, the talking about it must really be therapy for her.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And I mean, it still is today. Now I feel like it's more, I want to educate people and maybe, you know, like if I can help them in their healing, or if I can train people, if I can help the police understand victims better, or if I can help judges help understand victims better, if I can help attorneys, you know, understand victims better. I love to do that kind of stuff because so it's kind of morphed into different, I mean, I'll do any kind of speaking. I still love to do it because it still is, I've said that I will always talk as long as people will listen. Like, as long as people want to listen, I'm going to keep talking because, well, I am a talker. I mean, don't get me wrong. My husband will tell you, like, I will talk till the day end. Like, talking is like my jam. I mean, I'm a talker. So, you know, I just need to be able to talk. That was one of the hardest things with me through the pandemic was that I didn't have like those opportunities to actually like talk to people and like to be, well, I like to be with people. I guess I'm a people person. But you know, I didn't get the chance to talk as much. And I think that I missed it. I'm like calling people on the phone, which I never called people like, it's too hard to have a phone conversation, but I needed to talk to people. So I would call them.
Yeah, it's been weird times. And then Zoom happened. Everybody's having their meetings on Zoom and everything else, figuring that out. And
I feel like I had a meeting on Zoom probably once a week almost.
Yeah, I think we did too, didn't we? We worked from home for a while. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're definitely glad to be back in the office.
What are both of your day jobs? I'm curious.
We work for a city over here in Northern Kentucky. Yeah, we're together all the time. And it's funny because we worked together 20 years ago at a Fashion Bug. I don't know if you remember Fashion Bug.
I sure do.
Yeah. We worked together there. And then time passed and we left that job and everything else. And then we're back together again. And it's like no time passed. And I talked her into like, I've been wanting to do podcasting for a while. And I was like, please do this with me because I know you love this stuff as much as I do. Let's do this.
Awesome. And I'm like, no.
And then I'm like, come on. And you're like, okay. I love it though. And I love that you got Holly's house going, like a place, a safe place for people to do their interviews and healing and talks and everything. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's non-residential. Nobody stays there, but it's a location where the interview can happen. And you know that it's recorded and it's a safe place for them to come for that interview to happen. And it's a one interview process. And you know, and they're doing so much more work now in our community, like teaching a program in all the schools that teaches them think first, stay safe. It teaches them instead of stranger danger, it's, you know, there's stormy people and there's good people. You know, it's that stormy person could be your uncle, could be the person sitting next to you.
Yes, it could.
Right. It's not necessarily the stranger. And so that's what that program teaches kids in kindergarten through 5th grade, the lures that people use to try to have children become victims. So
yeah, I love that you've put so much of yourself into all these things. It's like, you're so special. You're just so special. I love it.
Seriously. Oh, and tell us about the Boys and Girls Club, the award, the Woman of the Year.
That was my most recent thing that I got. That was fun because it was like probably one of the biggest events I've been to in the past 2 years, right? Like
you look so pretty.
Yes, you did.
Thank you. But it was just so fun to like actually be together with people again and to be like at an event. But yeah, it's funny because my dad had actually won that award from the Boys and Girls Club back in like, I want to say 2000-ish, around there, 2000 and something, early 2000s. Cool. So it's the first time that my dad had won the award and then they gave it to me as his daughter. It's the first time that like a father-daughter or just even a parent and a child had won that award.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool.
That is really cool. That is unique. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That's my dad's pretty amazing.
Yeah. He's a pilot, right? Or he has a pilot.
He's a pilot as recreation. Like that's for fun.
Oh, that was for fun.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
Fun. Yeah. He does that for fun. My husband's actually a pilot now too. So no
kidding.
Yeah.
You guys are adorable, by the way. I saw the pictures in the book and stuff of you two. It's so cute. You guys look great together.
It's fun. It's interesting because, you know, he was the first guy I dated after the attack. So the attack happened in August of 97. And then I met my husband in maybe October or November of 97. So I started working at an outdoor store because I was really bored. I only had one class. They dropped all my classes but one. And so I was starting to get bored and I was like, I'm going to get a job, you know, like, and so I had friends that worked at this outdoor store and I'm like, I'm going to go work at the outdoor store. I was just a cashier, but you know, like it sounded like fun to me. I didn't do anything outdoors, but I thought I can sell this stuff, right? I can ring it up. Sure. And he actually worked in the ski department and we met there and, we both can't remember like even our first date because we went out as friends with the group of employees, right? You go out and you do things, but you're doing it as a group. So, I mean, our first part of our relationship really was just going out as the group, like, and then realizing we kind of liked each other. Right. And so, he's really the first person that I met after the attack. And he's really been through my whole healing journey, even though we had like 8 years of drama and like breakups and makeups and, big, long journey story right there.
Sure.
But he's been through it all with me. And it's kind of cool to think like that's where he was meant to be in my life. Like he came into my journey at this point and, has stuck with me. And I mean, I just remember in college, like crying on his shoulder, like having no idea why I was crying, really couldn't even have told him. I would just cry into his shoulder and he was just amazing. Like he just let me cry and do what I needed to do. He's still pretty amazing. He's a great father. And I don't want him to hear me. I don't want his head. I don't want to get too.
You can't let their egos grow.
Yeah.
And I saw where your firstborn, you gave him Christopher's as the middle name, and he was totally cool with that, which was like awesome.
He didn't tell me until right before he was born. I had given the idea. And he kind of made it a surprise and told me like right before he was born that's what we were gonna name him.
Yeah, you guys sound so amazing. I love that. I love that so much. See, you already answered everything I had. I had like all these questions to ask you and you like checked them off basically off my list. I don't know. You're just amazing. I'm like speechless. I'm like, can't believe we're doing this interview. I'm so happy.
I'll tell you a funny story about Glamour magazine. Cause that was actually a funny one so they came to my house and I actually lived in Henderson, Kentucky at the time. They came to my house and they like dressed me. So they brought clothes and like I put on their jeans and I put on their shirt, cause it's only one picture. I mean, you just but they took 400 pictures for that one picture. I'm not joking.
Oh my gosh.
And they actually like pin your clothes. So like, say I have this shirt on, right? And they pin it so that it doesn't quite look right over here. So they pin it back. Like they don't want this wrinkle. So they pin it and they pin your clothes everywhere. So that for that one photo, it looks good.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that
sounds horrible.
I bet the photo shoot for that took like 5 or 6 hours. And I'm not joking. I don't know how like celebrities and people do it because that was, and I mean, even filming for 48 hours took almost 12 hours, a 12-hour day of filming for 48 hours. Wow. So, it's not all glamour.
No.
Like that's filming for 12 hours is a long day. I've been so thankful for all the, media stuff that I've gotten because it's helped me to reach another audience. I mean, there's people that still don't know Chris and I's story. They don't know the story of Respect and what happened.
You're giving me goosebumps. You were giving me goosebumps, like seriously, because I wanted to ask you, like, what would you say to those people that don't know, like maybe they saw I survived and they don't know that you're okay, that maybe they don't know your story, like how you're doing today. Like, what would you say to those people?
Well, I mean, I would want to see them and to like give them a hug because I am doing okay. But that I think if I giving any advice to people, people always ask me like, what would my main piece of advice be? I mean, one thing that truly, I think women need to trust their instincts. I think that one thing that we don't always do is we don't trust our instincts. I think that's a big thing that we need to pay attention to. Yeah. And also just that there's bad things that happen and there's life after it does. Like what happens to you does not have to define you. That you can, make a choice to do something. And that doesn't have to be that you become this author and that you go out and speak to hundreds of people, right? It doesn't have to be that. It's that you wake up each day and you can smile. It's that you wake up each day and that you can do something that makes you happy. That is surviving. That is being in your healing process and being like in a good place, right? Now that we're all going to have bad days. We're all going to have those days. When you're a survivor, we're all going to have those days that are bad. Anniversaries are bad. They're still bad for me. I mean, they're still not good days. My kids make it a little bit better, but they're still bad days. So, it's not always going to be perfect, but in general, when you have more good days than bad days, it's not so bad. You're doing okay. And then as time goes on, you're just going to have more good days. And, I think that people don't realize, I think when you go through something hard, that it's going to be hard in the healing. The healing part is hard too. But it's so worth it. That's what I want people to know. It is so worth it, because when you survive something where it can take your life, so if I could take this away and have it have never happened, I would still want my passion to become this. I would never have become an advocate for victims or started speaking or this is my career, right? I would never have this if this hadn't happened. So, but it's not that it's not that I want it to happen. I would still take it away. For sure, I would have Chris still be alive. Chris would be here with me. We'd be doing speaking engagements together. I'd have him right here by my side, right?
Yep.
So that's the one thing, but I really wouldn't want my life's purpose to change. This happened for a reason, and I survived for a reason. I know that. And I think people can, once they make that realization, they can choose to do something, and it doesn't have to be big. It can just be, you just make a choice to do something, and you can have happy days.
That's the best response I ever heard, ever. I love this so much. And can I link your Facebook to our show notes? I would like to link your book.
My website, my book. Amazon is a good place to buy it. That's probably the best place to buy it. They usually have a little bit of a deal on it, so it's usually the cheapest price.
I will definitely link that. It's amazing.
So linking all that. I'd appreciate it.
Yes, I am so happy you came on. It means the world to us. I'm going to make sure this episode is perfect for you. I'll let you know once I edit it and get it out.
Are you going to edit out all my ums?
Sure, if you want me to. But we do it too. We're really bad about long pauses.
Weird. It's kind of weird when people do that, because, I just talk like I talk, and I realize I say a lot. Not a lot, but pretty much. And so people, when they edit it out, I look weird, because I'm like, well, when it's video, I look weird because I'm talking and I say, but edit, the words aren't coming out, but I'm still moving my mouth. I'm it's so weird.
You're we pause a lot, or we'll say, what is our thing too? We'll say, so.
I will say though, podcasting has helped, with our speaking a little bit.
Oh, I bet. A little bit. You and listening to yourself back, that's I'm probably kind of hard. You're
it is.
Do I sound like that? I don't know. When I hear myself, I'm like, do I sound like that?
This is me. I love it. Well, I guess we took enough of your time. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks. It was so
Thank you so much.
I know, it's so good to see you gals. Hopefully someday we can all meet in person.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. You ladies take care.
Bye.
You too, Holly. Thank you. Bye.
All right, guys, this concludes this week's episode. If you're craving more Operation Evil, please check out our Patreon for bonus episodes. We put one out every month. And remember, this month is going to be an updated audio quality version of the Railroad Killer from episode 1. So if you're not a member already, you can join us for as low as $3 a month. So give us a check out. And our link is in the show notes, as well as we're going to put Holly's information in the show notes too. So we'll put her Facebook. I recommend you follow her. She's such an amazing person, and she constantly updates her Facebook page. And then I'm going to link her book called Soul Survivor I'm going to do the Amazon link on there so you can get it. I recommend that book as well. It is such a good read. You won't be able to put it down. I read it super fast, and that's not like me, if that says anything. But the best part is you might not have to buy her book. And you know why? Because she's amazing. That's why she is sending us a copy of her book, Soul Survivor, signed by her. So we're going to have this amazing giveaway very soon. It's been a while since we've had one. As soon as we have the information, we will post that in our social media and probably just do a little check-in on wherever you listen to our podcast on. So there's that. Be looking forward to all of those things. I will continue to put the Buzzsprout link in the show notes as well, in case if you want to start your own podcast and get a $20 Amazon gift card. This was one of our favorite episodes to do, and we can't thank Holly enough. It was just so nice to have this interview with her. And we do want to give a thank you to Megan, who even suggested the idea to make us brave enough to even reach out to Holly. So thanks. We appreciate it. That's all we have for you today. I'm going to say bye for both me and Rachel. And that is it. We'll see you next week with a new episode. In the meantime, life is good. Thanks. Bye.